Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today, we're going to be looking at a unique that has definitely seen a comeback in the 1.5.0 patch, and that is the Hellhammer. The Hellhammer is a unique that seems to be based around burning damage on a barbarian, which is mainly just a physical damage character. So, I don't remember if it really ever was the most amazing, but it definitely is a decent hammer. But with the 1.5.0 changes, they've really turned Hellhammer into a beast of an item, and it has a lot of other supporting equipment that we're going to talk about as well. So Hellhammer has this new passive bonus on it, which is 300% damage to burning enemies. Now, this isn't 300% damage to burning. This is 300% damage to an enemy that is on fire. It's an additive bonus, which is going to apply to basically all of your attacks, and as long as the monster is burning, then you get this 300% bonus applied to your abilities. It also has a 252 to 360 strength bonus, which is pretty massive, and it also comes with a 52 to 70% upheaval size bonus as well, which is definitely very nice because obviously it's going to make your upheaval bigger and you can hit more targets, and it just means that you can dish out more damage, right? On top of this, we also get 4 to 6 upheaval ranks, which is going to increase the damage of your upheaval massively. And we also get 4 ranks to Wallop, which is the passive on the Barbarian. Wallop is the passive that gives your bludgeoning weapon skills a 10% increased damage if the enemy is stunned or vulnerable, which means that you're getting a pretty massive amount of increase if you've got a nice +4 there. And if it greater affix it gets even higher, and you can get a pretty nice multiplier with it. On top of this, it has a special effect of Upheaval ignites the ground, burning enemies for an additional 12,258 damage over 4 seconds, increased by 10% times for every 100 strength you have. Current bonus 180% times. Now, that's a pretty massive amount of additional damage for burning. Now, first off, let's look at Upheaval without the Hellhammer. So if we're using upheaval without the Hellhammer, it's really just kind of like a shockwave, as you can see. It comes out from the target, and I'm pretty sure that the shockwave can actually hit additional enemies as well. So as you can see here, we get a shockwave, and the additional damage goes to the targets behind it. Now when you put Hellhammer on, and let's pull off the Harlequin Crest, the Andariels, because it's providing a bunch of poison damage, which we don't want to add into the total here. So as you can see here, we've got a pretty decent damage with Upheaval by itself. When you throw in the Hellhammer, which is going to be an amazing bump, it turns the Hellhammer into this amazing beast that can just cause monsters to burn at a distance. You can see I'm adding a pretty hefty amount of burn damage onto the targets, and obviously I can also dish out some pretty sick damage in terms of overpowers, and I'm not even built for this. Like, I have no points in upheaval or anything, and you could definitely get some more bonuses. Like, upheaval has a 35% chance to stun enemies. You can also grab the upheaval damages at least 2 enemies. You can get the berserking, or you can go with the furious upheaval, which is dealing direct damage to an enemy with a skill that is not upheaval, causes your next cast of upheaval to deal 12 times % increased damage, stacking up to 6 times. So kind of like going back and forth between 2 different skills. So like womp, 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 womp. Now, Hellhammer has fire damage, and Barbarian isn't really a fire damage character, but there are other items in the game that enhance fire damage in some interesting ways if you'd like to take that specific path. Like, for instance, Frosties now have a up to a 182% fire and cold damage bonus, which of course you can end up with a greater affix on, as well as some interesting increased attack speed, which if you equip those will increase the burning damage that you're getting from the upheaval itself, making the burning damage even higher. As you can see, I currently have about 400k, 422, yeah, about 422,000 burn damage coming from upheaval at this particular moment with the Frosties on.
Mr. Goody Two Shoes, Mr. Goody Two Shoes. Ginger Evil Mentor here. Why bother farming when you can go to MMOEXP.com and simply purchase your items in gold? GGM would have you farm the items. What a pathetic being. Use code GEM Ginger Evil Mentor for 6% off your entire purchase. And don't tell Ginger Gaming Mentor that I was here.
On top of this, there's also other aspects, like for every 20 seconds, your next upheaval cast is guaranteed to overpower, dealing 20 times increased, up to 30% times increased damage. Upheaval or critical strikes against elites reduce this timer by 1 second. You can also grab the Ring of the Red Furor, which gives you the after spending 100 Fury within 3 seconds, your next cast of Hammer of the Ancients Upheaval or Death Blow within 5 seconds is a guaranteed critical strike, dealing 40% bonus critical strike damage. So adding in a lot of these aspects can definitely help increase the damage of Hellhammer even further. But that's not all. So let's go take a look really quickly at the cultist, and I'm going to show you kind of like the other aspects within the barbarian that have access to fire damage as well. If you wanted to kind of like go with this, I don't know, this fire barbarian, right? So like, let's take a look at fire. We're just going to type in fire. And we've got the aspect of the burning rage, which is while berserking, you deal up to 3,432 fire damage every second to surrounding enemies. You could also potentially be using aspect of the elements to enhance fire damage that way. And there's other items in the game that deal non-elemental damage for these barbarian, and obviously Hellhammer itself is going to be giving you a rather large amount of fire damage, so you can stack on some fire damage in various ways to get, I don't know, more burning if you want to. I think the real interesting thing here with the Hellhammer is just how much damage you could potentially scale the burning through the strength bonus, because of course more strength means more fire damage, and more fire damage means more dead monsters, and more strength also means more just damage in general. So not only are you going to be obviously enhancing your physical damage by enhancing your strength if you focus on strength, but you're also going to be enhancing the fire damage that comes from the upheaval as well, making for a very powerful build. Another thing that really strikes me about the upheaval Hellhammer is just the sheer amount of AoE that you can apply to the ground and how long the upheaval tends to last, in terms of like the burning. So like if we take a look here, I go back to the training dummies real quick, and I play around with upheaval for a second, you'll see I can really make a lot of the ground burning at once. And it really doesn't take that much effort to get pretty much like the whole screen pretty much with some sort of fire effect on it. And anything that's in that obviously is going to be taking burning damage, which does make it a very effective AoE skill in general. You're getting burning, you're obviously getting the AoE effect, you get the main hit that's of course hitting the target right in front of you. You can obviously set up for guaranteed crits through the Sundered Ground. You can set up through guaranteed crits through Ring of Red Furor and guaranteed overpowers through the Sundered Ground. You could also potentially be using the Banished Lord's Talisman for more guaranteed overpowers, and of course there's other ways that you could potentially get more overpowers too. It really kind of depends. Now, where do you get yourself a Hellhammer if you want to get like a super duper awesome version of this? Well, the Hellhammer comes specifically from Beast in the Ice, which is actually a really good place to farm this season, because this season you can get access to the absolutely godlike Fists of Fate, and the really good Frostburns there as well. So while you're farming your Hellhammer, you might also end up with a really nice pair of Frosties you can pair up with it to enhance the burning damage. I don't know. This is definitely a fun one that you could potentially explore for, I think, massive amounts of damage. As I said, I'm not really set up for this, and I can already see some pretty great potential in it. I'm already hitting for, what is that, some like 4 or 5 million overpowers with no points in the skill for the most part. Yeah, 4 or 5 mil overpowers with no points in the skill, and that's without the Hellhammer actually equipped. So with the Hellhammer equipped, we're looking at probably a hell of a lot higher than that. And of course, the burning damage is just a constant addition that's going to help take out all those little tiny monsters for you. That's all 5.7 mil there. It'd be really interesting to see just how far you could potentially scale not only obviously the Hellhammer and the upheaval damage, but also the burning damage as well. Could be kind of fun. Hellhammer. It has a very interesting graphic too. It looks like a big, like molten mace. I've actually seen a lot of people running around with this one as their graphic on their back, even if they're not necessarily using a mace. Yeah, there it is right there. Big molten mace. This is actually a really cool graphic. and it's got like fire coming out of it. Of course, it's like a big giant stone that's still on fire. So it's not a terrible looking graphic. I actually really like it, and it leaves like a fire trail too as you're running around. All in all, I am impressed with the new version of the Hellhammer. I think most people have been impressed with the new version of the Hellhammer. The flavor text on the Hellhammer says, "The demon prince Econoth slew hundreds of the heavenly host with his infernal hammer before falling to none other than the archangel Imperius himself." Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals joining me for these videos, even when we're just talking about a hammer that comes from hell. Be sure to hit that like button and the subscribe button on your way back to heaven. And as always, keep watching.